Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
So what I'm saying now is that you're going to have this massive influx of immigrants into the country that are better equipped. They don't have your legacies. They don't have your disadvantages. They're walking across the border. They're going to get a free lunch. They don't have to pay dues. But you got public policies in this country that are equating them to black folk. They're equating them to black, and what we've allowed them to do, starting in 1970, is to wrap themselves in black folks' suffering and pretend somehow they suffered along with black folk. And therefore, whatever program is created under this misguided label called minority, that they are equal to you and over you. And we're going to deal with that whole concept of minority in a few minutes too.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you hit that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description, go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your patience, family. And I was supposed to do this yesterday. However, some situations came up. My nephew, he's graduating today, a little bit later today, as a matter of fact. And some things happened to where I had to go and do some uncle duties. But we're here today, and we're here. We're ready to go. We're going to talk about these cavemen and talk about the pretendians. I've been waiting a while to speak about this. I've been waiting a little bit. Ever since Matt Walsh opened his mouth, I bookmarked that and I said, we're going to get to you. Put a pin in that. We'll get to you later. Thank you very much, Aquarius Mind. I appreciate you. But before we go there, let's go ahead and give a shout out and a salute to everybody in the chat. Shout out to our new member. I'm not going to slaughter you. Quasi Black Star. Salute and shalom to you. Thank you very much for being here or was here yesterday. I appreciate that. All right. Andrea Jones, thank you for being here yesterday. I'll see you later, most likely. Aquarius Minded, thank you for being here yesterday and today. Stolen Ancestors, thank you for being here yesterday and today. The Big Black God, thank you for being here, brother. Reparations Nation, thank you for being here, brother. Angelic, my sister, thank you for being here. Black Spider, shalom, and thank you for being here, my sister. Tasting Teas with Tony, thank you for being here, family. MD Williams, thank you for being here. Hurricane IQ and Hurricane Nisi in the building. Salute to both of you. Thank you for being here. Let's see, we got make sure we get through. Opal Ivy, thank you for being here, family. And okay, that's what we got. All right. So in case you guys haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure you have. Matt Walsh, really all of these W supremacy cats are running around here. Salute and shout out to our family. Still Kevin Trees, thank you for being here, family. The white folks are going around here trying their hardest to make themselves victims for some damn reason. And that victimization not only makes them look even weaker than they actually are, but it proves that they're weaker than they actually are. And Matt Walsh is running around here complaining about the white South Africans. And he's basically trying to make it seem like, well, how long do white people have to be in a location before they're considered indigenous or native? And he's going around saying that we don't want white folks to have a homeland, basically. They're not native to anywhere. And he actually says that they want us to believe that white people are not native to anywhere. So I want to get into this clip, and then we'll get into the commentary. Let's go.
This is the funny thing about who is considered native or not, who is considered an invader or not. CNN commentators have no problem announcing that white people whose ancestors have been in the country for 20 generations should go back home if they're in South Africa. But try telling the Somalis in Minnesota to go back home.
First and foremost, white folk ain't been in South Africa no damn 20 generations. 20 generations? I don't think he understands how far back that goes. Only people that's ever been anywhere for 20 generations or more are us. Is us. And the Africans and black folks all across the globe. Salute Tori and Reigns. Thank you for being here, family. Yeah, so that's a very weird thing to say.
You'll be immediately labeled a far-right bigot. Even though the Somalis have been here for at most a couple of decades, some have been here for a couple of hours, but we're told that the Somalis have every right to be here. That we're told the Somalis, the moment they step foot here, they are just as American as anyone else.
Here's the big difference. They're coming here to become a part of a system. But they are not native to this land, nor are they claiming to be native to this land. Nor are they claiming to be indigenous to this land. So them coming over here and becoming a part of a government system and becoming American is totally different than what the hell Matt Walsh, is over here trying to make it seem like, well, if we're here 20 generations, how long do we got to be here before we say we're native?
The moment the Somali steps foot in this country, they're just as American as you, even if your family's been here for 400 years. And yet the white South Africans are not South African even after 400 years.
Family, how long was the apartheid system going on? How long have white people been in South Africa? Has it been 400 years? That's what Matt is over here saying, even though we was in there 400 years. I don't even think you guys were there maybe 60 years. Maybe. I'll give maybe. This is weird. Right, Tori, it started in the 40s. So I don't even understand where he added an extra zero on there. A straight extra zero for 400 years.
And Americans who can trace their lineage back several centuries, they just have to shut up and take it in this country. No matter where they are, maybe you've noticed white people, no matter where they are always the colonizers and have no legitimate claim to whatever land they're on.
Why is that, Matt? Why is it that Caucasians, white people, your breed of folks are looked at as colonizers wherever they go? Could it be because you guys colonize everywhere you go? See, Matt is sitting here basically trying to say, well, when we take over land, we should be considered natives of that land. When the truth is far, far from that.
In other words, under the left's framework, white people are the only demographic on the planet that can never be considered truly at home or native to any country anywhere. You know, we'll be told that a white person's true home is Western Europe. And yet, if any white person in the UK claimed that it was a white country, they'd be condemned.
That's because Europe is not a white country. Once again, it was a colonized situation that made Europe predominantly white. Because if you read the book When the Moors Ruled, you would know that the Moors went into Europe and saved y'all lives. Saved your lives, taught you how to wash your butt, put up street lights everywhere, built all that beautiful architecture out there, and was ruling you guys. That's history. So when did Europe become a white nation? Oh, after it was, once again, colonized. Say it with me, colonized.
You know, they say to us in America that this isn't our land, right? It's stolen. So where is our land?
The Caucasus Mountains. The Caucasus of the Caucasus, my friend. Where you get your name, Caucasian, from, sir? That's your homeland. Or maybe it isn't. We're going to get to that too. Put a pin in that.
It will not follow that to its conclusion and say that, well, Europe is the white man's land. They're not going to say that. So where is it? The message is that there is literally no place on earth that white people can claim as a legitimate homeland. A white man is native to nowhere. He is indigenous to nowhere. I mean, that's strange, isn't it? How does that work?
Well, you know what's even stranger? Nature tend to agree with that. Nature tends to agree that you're not native to nowhere because nature keeps trying to remove you from our planet. I just find that to be interesting, wouldn't you? But go ahead, Matt. Let's hear what you got to say.
Like, have you noticed that there's no country on the planet with white indigenous people? How is that possible? Where did the white people come from? Did they fall out of the sky like rain? Did they magically spawn out of thin air? If a white person could trace his roots back to the 17th century in this country, does that make him a Native American?
Absolutely not. Especially when you enslaved the Native Americans and reclassified them as Negro. See, everywhere around this planet, the Native American is a Negro, is black. Where you came from a mutation. That's where you came from. You came from a mutation. You are a muted. You are the X-Man.
I mean, at what point can the white person say, yeah, I am native to this country? How many centuries does he need to be? Does his family need to be in a country to be native to it? How many generations? 10? Is that enough? No. 15, 20, 25, 30, 40? Is that enough? At that point, can we say we're native to this country?
You can't be native to a place that you immigrated to. You can't be native to a place that you migrated to. The only way you can become a native anywhere you go, and it wouldn't even be you. You would have to sleep with one of the natives and bear a child, and then your child would be part native. But you, sir, would never and could never become a native because you're not.
And if the answer is, well, there's no amount of time, if the answer is that, well, it could be 1,000 years from now, and a white person who's been here for more than 1,000 years, their family's been here for 1,000 years, still is not native to this country in America. If that's the answer, then again, where is his native homeland? And if he goes there, can he claim the title of native or indigenous? Can he say that the non-natives are invading or stealing? Well, the left has no answer to any of those questions. And the reason is that the terms native and colonizer and invader and indigenous are all just tools of manipulation. They don't mean anything.
No, Matt, it actually does mean something. It means that you're not a part of that land. Your blood does not stem back to that land. Your blood stems from somewhere else, Matt. And these folks really think this man was eaten with this. I find it incredibly stupid that he would say such a thing when everyone knows where their homeland is. Well, where it's thought to be. Because like I said, we're going to put a pin in whether or not that's really their homeland or not. But for the most part, the joining consensus is what? Caucasians, the Caucasoid, comes from the Caucasus Mountains. Period. Let's go here.
Do white people have a homeland? You do have a homeland, white man. It's called Europe. And the reason why Europeans don't accept you is because you don't know who you are. You call yourself white American, and white isn't real. Here's the crazy thing. White people, you created that terminology for yourselves so you could differentiate yourselves in the Western world from everybody else, including your European ancestors, your European brethren. And now in 2025, you're crying that you're seen as an invader everywhere you go. And the one place you could go that's your homeland, they don't want to accept you because you're classified by the very thing that you created. In the beginning, there was two races. You got Africans from the hut and Europeans from the cave. All right. Now some would say that y'all were genetically modified, genetically engineered. Listen, I'm not here to affirm any type of pseudoscience, but I just think it's kind of interesting. Maybe it's true. Who knows?
I'm be honest with you, family. Salute to Cooking with Miss D and Joseph. Salute to both of you. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna be honest with you, family. When I first read about the big head scientist, Yakub, I was almost certain that this is exactly how it happened. Almost certain. Now, I'm not going to say that, I believe the full story, but I almost certain, because it would kind of explain why these people tend to not have any empathy or a soul. That's just my opinion. And if you haven't heard about the big head scientist story, the Yakub story, basically the Yakub story is about an African dude who was a genius. And the dude wanted to create a new species. And so he went to his uncle and he told his uncle, one day I'll make a man to rule you. And his uncle laughed at him and all this other stuff. When he grew up, him and his followers, they created this cult-like group. And he would mate his followers. And when they had a lighter baby, he would take the lighter baby, and then if they had a darker baby, he would unalive them by sticking a needle in their brain. And so what he did was he took the lighter and he bred them with the lighter. And he kept doing that until black was made brown, brown was made yellow, yellow was made white. And because of that, they say that he bred out their melanin. He bred out their soul. So they were soulless beings. And as soon as he released them on the population, they started unaliving, pillaging, and doing all the most horrible things that none of the Africans have ever seen. After which, they forced them out of the land by putting cable toes to their necks and stripping them naked and sending them out of the land. They ended up in the Caucasus Mountains. This is the story as it's told, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Some of those parts, It might be true. I'm not going to say they are, but it might be. Salute to the Hula Gang. Thank you for being here, family.
Anyway, now here's the thing about the cave people. Their genes are pretty fucking weak. So whenever they meet with a hut person, if they blend, they eventually get genetically disseminated into other races. That's what your identity is. All right. You are a mixture right now, white man. You are a mixture of cave people and hut people. And the cave people, they don't want to accept you because just like Black Americans have to deal with this from Nigerians, the cave people, they see you as Akatas. That's a Nigerian word for lost cubs. That's what they call Black Americans. Well, white man, you're a nigga too. You're a lost cub. You're home, Europe. They don't want your ass no more. So yeah, you don't technically have a homeland, and technically you do. And it's unfortunate that you can't be accepted there. But I promise you, if you just drop that white label, then you would be accepted there. And also, if you dropped that white label, we would probably be that much closer to defeating racism.
Now, I agree with some parts and some parts I don't agree with. Like I said, I don't believe Europe is their homeland whatsoever. But for the most part, what he was saying about them creating the white social construct in order to separate themselves, that's what Matt Walsh was just trying to say a few seconds ago, wasn't it? Didn't he say that Native American is just a social construct, it's just made up? No. What was made up is the status that you wanted to have, and now you got it, and you don't like it, apparently. Salute the cult-like personality. Thank you for being here, family. Also, salute the FLA Trucker 1024. Thank you for being here, family. But now he's trying to say the social construct that he created is hindering his ability to have a homeland, when the truth of the matter is you guys created white as a race. And when you look at a lot of these folks, they would fall under the same category you would fall under genetically if you looked at y'all genetics. But you did. You wanted separation so that people would know who the hell you were when they came to America. Salute, KK Speaks. Thank you for being here, family. But we all know who you are and what you represent.
Of the rock comes from Georgia, Russia. The Caucasus Mountains. That's what Caucasian means. The word Caucasian comes from the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. It's a range of mountains. They were pushed in during the Dark Ages or Middle Ages, when the Israelites, the Moors, ruled Europe.
When the Moors ruled Europe, absolutely. MD, I gotta say, my brother, they're doing a lot more than just sleeping with them dogs in that bed. Let's just leave it at that. You know, we don't run around here and let any dog kick us in the face, lick us in the face, lick us in the mouth. Kind of some of the things they were doing in that cave. Yeah. But let's continue.
Had forced them up here to these mountains. Give me the next picture. This is the mountain. Y'all can look it up. You can Google it. We're not making nothing up. Okay. And this is what they will not teach you in school, and they will never teach you this in church. Right. These are the original cavemen. This is them. They were the cavemen. You can read about, where's that? Is it Job 33? Is it? Where it said out at Job 30. Thank you. Y'all write that down.
Yeah, this is another good point. The island of Dr. Monroe was basically taken from the story of Yakub, the big head scientist. And my grandfather, when he used to pick us up for the weekend, that was one of his favorite movies. And he used to tell us about it as well. So yeah, that's a great point. The Island of Dr. Monroe is definitely a grafting movie. Family, more and more people are coming out and just letting Matt Walsh know, hey, you do know this is where we come from, right? Let's go here. Oh, my bad.
What's this? It's the Caucasus region. It is one of the most geopolitically complicated places on Earth, and I'm about to explain it in just over 2 minutes. First off, it's made up of 3 countries and parts of southern Russia. You're probably noticing these shaded purple and red parts. We'll get to that later. The Russian parts are made up of 7 Russian republics and 1 krai, which, by the way, here you can find Mount Elbrus, the tallest mountain in Europe, and also Sochi, which is where the Winter Olympics were hosted. First off, Armenia. Armenians are predominantly Apostolic Christian, which is actually more closely related to Egyptian Coptic and Ethiopian Christian. Their language is considered an isolate with no closely related languages. However, there are strong dialects between the homeland and diaspora communities. Next up, Azerbaijan. Azerbaijanis, they are categorically Oghuz Turks, which their closest cousins are the Turks in Turkey. They can totally understand each other when they talk to each other, and they are mostly Muslim with a slight Shia majority. And finally, Georgia, or Sakartvelo as they call themselves. Georgians are mostly Orthodox Christian, more doctrinally related to the Greeks and other Eastern Orthodox nations. Their language is under the Kartvelian group, which only has 3 other small languages, Laz, Svan, and Magrelian. Armenians and Georgians have their own scripts, which look really cool. They're like elf languages, and Azerbaijani uses the Latin alphabet. This is Artsakh/Nagorno-Karabakh, depends on who you ask. Basically, it's a site of huge tension between the 2 countries that has been led to multiple wars. It's gone under control on either side on both parts for various periods of time. Today, Russian forces are in the area trying to manage things, but basically both sides believe this entire thing should be theirs, which means today the borders are completely closed off between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And because Turkey is a close friend of Azerbaijan, they also closed off their borders to Armenia as well. This means the only way that Azerbaijanis can get to the Nakhchivan exclave, which belongs to them, is by either driving or flying over Iran. Georgia, on the other hand, has their own thing going on with these 2 guys, Abkhazia and South Ossetia. Basically, it takes way too long to explain, but basically these areas have their own separate ethnic groups that broke away from their own conflict eras, mostly supported by Russia. They are recognized by 5 countries as states, whereas the rest of the international community considers them autonomous regions under Georgia. And long story short, although this place really is ethno-linguistically diverse, most outsiders probably wouldn't be able to tell them apart from like the religion thing, because they always like piggyback off of each other's cultures and traditions. Like nobody knows who started wearing the fluffy goat skin hats or like the bullet pockets in the men's traditional clothing. Like they all do it. All I know is Dagestan makes those like rectangular shaped pointy shouldered goat skin capes, and they look really badass, and I want one. Those things are expensive, by the way. They're like thousands of dollars.
The terminology Caucasian has been used incorrectly many times. It was actually coined by a German anthropologist by the name of Johann Blumenbach. And the reason he called the white people the Caucasians is because when he went to Georgia, he was so astonished by the beauty of the people. So he...
Wait a second, family. Okay, so remember I said put a pin in whether or not white folks come from the Caucasus Mountains. So this man is going to explain how that's incorrect. And then we're going to go into a situation where they're saying if you tell a Caucasian man, that his homeland is the Caucasus Mountains, then you're upholding the system of white supremacy. Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to go into that. We got to go into that. So let's start with him.
The terminology Caucasian has been used incorrectly many times. It was actually coined by a German anthropologist by the name of Johann Blumenbach. And the reason he called the white people the Caucasians is because when he went to Georgia, he was so astonished by the beauty of the people. So he decided to call the entire white people Caucasian. But as a matter of fact, when we look at the Caucasians from a genetic perspective, as we can see, the Caucasian people actually form their own cluster. It's one of the most genetically diverse places in Eurasia. This is a map of the haplogroups that are found in the Caucasus. As we can see, the Azerbaijanis are predominantly J2. When we go into Georgia, it's predominantly G. When we look into the Armenians, they're predominantly R1b. So there's a lot of genetic diversity amongst them. So for us to, come up with a generalization about these people is an oversimplification. But there is...
Before we continue with him, this is another good point. Yes, there are a bunch of different villages and communities till this day that still walks around on all 4s. That is absolutely correct. And it comes from the time of them being in the caves. Back then, they walked on all 4s like the wolves. So all the stuff that they do with their animals, they started with the wolves first. As a matter of fact, you can look up pictures till this day where white people have tails stemming out of their tailbone. I ain't never seen a black person born with a tail. But these folks, a lot of them, they have that in their genes. Don't shoot the messenger. Just know it's happening. You can Google this picture. There are several pictures of white folks being born with tails. But, you know, maybe I'll look it up just so I can play. While this plays, I'll look up a picture.
There's one thing that unites all Caucasian people, and I suppose this is the very basis of this line. It's that all Caucasian people have genetic similarities when we look at their DNA from a Neolithic standpoint. So over here, I've actually got a breakdown of 3 Caucasian populations. I've got the Circassians, I've got the Chechens, and I think down below, I've got the Ossetians. 3 distinct Caucasian groups, linguistically distinct, but the one thing that unites them all is this Caucasus hunter-gatherer component. What is this Caucasus hunter-gatherer component? This Caucasus hunter-gatherer component is the characteristic genome that embodies the people of the Caucasus. And I've actually got a Caucasus hunter-gatherer reconstruction. This is a man. The Caucasian hunter-gatherers existed in the Caucasus region around 12,000 years ago during the Neolithic, and they provide the strongest genetic input to the populations all over the Caucasus. What's remarkable about the Caucasian hunter-gatherers is that their DNA, as we can see, it peaks in the Caucasus because that's where they're from, but it's actually found all across Eurasia. It's found all the way in the UK. I've had the opportunity to look into 5, 6 clients from the UK, and they've all had components of the CHG component. Even me as an Iranian, I'm like 12-13% Caucasus hunter-gatherer. And now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into who the CHG people were. Now, the CHG, the Caucasus hunter-gatherers themselves, were a synthesis of 2 ancestral populations. You had the ancient North Eurasians, which were a people group that were found all across Siberia, and an interesting genetic source known as Zudzuana. We don't actually know what Zudzuana was, but we think that it was related to Middle Eastern populations. And that's what Caucasus hunter-gatherer is. Now, these 2 populations mixed together close to 24,000 years ago to create the CHG populations that we know today. And just to make reference over here, for example, when we look into the Circassians, 38% Caucasus hunter-gatherer. The Chechens, 37.5%. The Ossetians, I can't actually read what is written there, but they're very, very high in that component as well. So we've just established that the main genetic component within all Caucasians, the thing that unites them really is this Caucasus hunter-gatherer component. Now, if we actually look at this breakdown in more detail.
So while he's sitting here saying that it is a vast misconception that white people come from the Caucasus, then he gets into the similarities and they're tied to the Caucasus. I want to show you this and then we'll get back to him. A simple Google search. Born with tails. I don't like the fact that it pops up on the side like that, but okay. All these babies born with tails. Now, some people get their tails removed and some people wait until their tails fall off. But this is an actual thing. This is definitely an actual thing. Want to make sure that people don't say that I'm spreading misinformation or disinformation. Not you guys. I know you wouldn't do that. But I'm speaking about people who might drop in and see where we're at. And then they might try to get me all banned and stuff for spreading misinformation. No. We have straight evidence, straight proof that these folks had tails. And some of them still do today. All right, let's go back over here.
Component is Pontic-Caspian steppe. What is that? Pontic-Caspian steppe. The Pontic-Caspian steppe people coincide with the Indo-Europeans, and I've actually got a reconstruction of a man who belonged to the Yamnaya culture, which is known as the progenitor of the Indo-European cultures. But what's very, very interesting is that the Yamnaya actually existed with a Caucasian culture known as the Maikop culture, and they played a very, very fundamental role in the entire ethnogenesis of the Caucasian people, and their art is very characteristic. This bull is very characteristic of Caucasian art. But what's interesting to note, and this is the reason why we actually see Caucasus hunter-gatherer DNA all across Eurasia, is that the Indo-Europeans themselves were actually a synthesis between Caucasus hunter-gatherer mixing with Eastern hunter-gatherer to form the Yamnaya, to form the Indo-Europeans. And that's why the genetic legacy of these people that are found in this isolated place that spans between Europe and Asia, their genetics actually found very, very widespread across the world.
Another great point. And they called who monkeys? I'm going to be honest with you. They're the only one scientifically that has monkey DNA within them. Rhesus monkey. RH positive, RH negative. That's scientific. Not just that, another thing that's scientific that they can't dispute, they're the only ones that has Neanderthal DNA. The Homo sapien does not have Neanderthal DNA. Let's keep it 100. Salute to John's son. Thank you for being here, family. And salute again to our sisters, stolen ancestors. Thank you for being here. In case you dropped in and I didn't, yes, because I called you out earlier, but I want to say thank you for being here again. You know what? I just believe it stems from their animalistic traits. Like I said, they still hold a lot of their animalistic traits. And that dead hair on that head and under those armpits and all over their bodies, because a lot of them, they're hairy as hell because they still have some of that Neanderthal animalistic trait. So I believe, and this is just my belief, that these folks can't stay clean to save their life. And if they are clean, they can't smell clean. Have you guys ever heard, like, if you was to take a shower, right, and then get out of the shower, no matter how long you were in the shower, the towel would still be dirty? That doesn't happen for us. But I can guarantee you it probably does happen for them. Just to keep it 100 with you. It's kind of like the same thing with the Africans. They have a different diet than we have. And so when they sweat, they have a distinct odor, a distinct BO due to the things that they eat and the way their body works. I believe the same goes for the Caucasus, for the caveman and a woman.
The world. The last component that's found in the Caucasians, that's actually found amongst all Caucasian populations, is the Anatolian Neolithic farmer component. And this is a reconstruction of an Anatolian man, and that's because the Caucasians had interactions with Anatolian people. Caucasian culture is one of the most beautiful cultures that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure of researching. I love learning about their culture because despite the differences, they have many, many similarities. In a region that has been under constant conflict, conquest, and subsequently it's produced one of the most unique and beautiful places in the world. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this caffeine-fueled live.
All right, family. Black Spider, you know that they made the movie Gremlins based on the wet dog smell of white folk, right? I'm just gonna throw it out there. Gremlins is a true story based on a true story about the napkin folk, the Nabiscos. That's my thinking. Shalom and salute to our family. Shamika, great. Thank you for being here, family. Wet rat. Exactly. So, family, that dude said all of that in order to try to say, hey, you know, it's not right to say that all white people come from the Caucasus Mountains. We're so diverse in the Caucasus Mountains. But then he had to turn around and say we share a major trait in all of us, which means you're all from the Caucasus Mountains. You all have Rhesus monkey DNA. You all are Neanderthals. Let's keep it 100. Caffeine-fueled lies. Exactly. Exactly. So now that he got his little lies out, you got this person here who basically comes out and just says it with his whole chest that if you call a white person a Caucasian, if you tell a white person that they're from the Caucasus Mountains, that you are perpetuating and upholding the system of white supremacy. Salute to Rashad Wallace. Thank you for being here, family. Let's go here.
Here is why calling white people Caucasian is upholding white supremacy. So the name Caucasian actually refers to the indigenous people of the Caucasus Mountains of West Asia. The irony is that a lot of the actual Caucasians wouldn't even be considered Caucasian in America. How did this happen? In the late 1700s, a racist German pseudoscientist named Johann Blumenbach created a pseudoscientific racial classification on how attractive he found different skull shapes to be. He had a collection. When he saw the skull of a Georgian woman from the Caucasus, he determined it to be the most beautiful, and thus being the white supremacist that he was, concluded that all white people originate in the Caucasus Mountain. From that, he created a racial hierarchy, placed Caucasian at the top and everyone else under. This is blatantly false. There is no biological basis for race, and all people originate in Africa. White people are no exception. It's time to phase out this deeply racist language. Give the actual Caucasians their regional identity back.
This is a very good question, MD, and put a pin in that because we'll get back to that later as well. But did you hear this man just literally try to say that if you tell a white person that they're from the Caucasus Mountains, then you're upholding a white supremacist narrative? Not saying, now he's not going to describe or talk about how you all have the same genes and DNA if you're not all the same, if you all didn't come from the same damn place. But he damn sure tried to put that on us. Oh, you guys are upholding the system of white supremacy by spreading this lie. And I guess it's becoming a trend because people are following suit. Real Caucasian.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords.
Now, family, I'm going to run that back. And I want you to tell me, does any of these people look any different from who we're telling is from the same locations?
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords.
These are the same people who call themselves Ashkenazi. Yes. These are the same people. These are the exact same people. Exactly. No difference. Nope. Nope. Spitting image. Don't see no difference. They're the exact same people. Assassin's Creed outfit. I can't with that one because that one's too on point. Hold on, run that back. Run that back.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords.
Yeah, that Assassin's Creed right there. That did it for me. That did it. That was it. So, family, not only do we have these folks coming out trying to call us white supremacists, but now, according to these folks, and not just them, but these folks with the same DNA, we're also the $5 Indians all of a sudden. Yes. So let's jump from the caveman over to the Siberian. Let's go here.
The reason why you have so many African Americans claiming to be Cherokee, Choctaws, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Creek is because they're the $5 Indians. One of their mixed ancestors that was European and African, a mulatto, paid their way to be on the Dawes rolls. A European can't fool anybody pretending to be an Indian, but a mulatto could. They kicked out all the $5 Indians. That's why they all claimed those tribes. Those are the only tribes that had $5 Indians. The pretendian in them still lives on. Tell pretendians that they're crazy and it's time to move on.
Ah, family. Salute, Chi. Thank you for being here, family. Did you guys just hear this man? This man said that we paid to get put on the dog rolls. The formerly enslaved paid the white man to put us on the dog's rolls. Really? He said that white people can't pass as Native American. Have this man ever been on a reservation? I used to be on reservations all the time. I used to be on the Morongo reservation. I used to be on the Saboba reservation in California, the San Manuel reservation, the Agua Caliente reservation. Most of those folks on those reservations, most of them folks look like Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh could pass for a Native American on many of those reservations. Let me be very clear about that. So while this dude is sitting here trying to tell a blatant lie, saying, well, white people can't pass as Native American, then why were all those white folks put on the Dawes roll? Let's be very clear. The only people that was able to pay and get on the Dawes roll was white folks. And all the black folks who had Native American ancestry was reclassified by Walter Plecker as a Negro. As a matter of fact, Dr. Claude Anderson speaks about this often, might I add, how the treaties that the Native Americans received, they were supposed to share with us. And the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, they fought against it in order to get us removed from those benefits. So what in the hell is this man talking about? But there's more. Let's continue.
But it wasn't until I had an encounter with an entity.
See, this is what I don't get. There are other ways to gain clout off this app other than culture erasure and being a
family. Does she look like a Native American to you? Or does she look like a Mexican? She looks like a Mexican, which in turns look like a Siberian. Not a Native that I've seen. And I'm going to get to some of those pictures. We have.
A culture vulture, because that war bonnet cost you $74.99. I know, because I've looked. There are other people like you that have gotten the same one off of Amazon. Just because it's from Amazon doesn't mean you're from the Amazon. That's where people are getting confused. And you waking up and seeing demons in your house or entities means that you're fucking with something that you should not be fucking with, culturally and spiritually, because you've angered something. Your ancestors are mine. You've angered one of them. And this is the danger.
Your ancestors are in Russia, ma'am. Your ancestors, let me say this again. Your ancestors are in Russia, ma'am. What is wrong with these people? Salute to our Keep On Nation. Thank you for your Cashapp, family. Okay, if y'all want to put a message in your Cashapp, you definitely can, because he just showed me that he can. He says, caveman, cave dog, Russian man, Russian dog. One and the same. Good stuff. Real stuff. Real stuff. And we're going to get there too. Jumping ahead, I see, but we're going to get there.
Shit that I don't talk about on this app, because I'm more so about letting it just happen to people and then, let them be on that fuck around and find out shit.
Family, you see how she's trying to take our vernacular? Nobody really runs around saying fuck around and find out. We coined that damn term. And now she's trying to use that term against us. Get the hell out of here. Salute me and Kim. Thank you for being here, family.
But if bad shit keeps happening to you and you keep doing this, wouldn't you put two and two together and be like, oh, well, I probably should stop doing this and then good shit would happen in my life? Because you're fucking around with something that you should not be fucking around with. And it's like, natives were more about fuck around and find out and letting you do it. But if this is happening to you, I suggest you stop. And then the entities will stop. Or the demons or whatever you say is involved in your life. You need to cleanse and you need to stop this.
Now, family, this woman has been going on a full-fledged tirade trying to cuss out, disprove anybody who is claiming their Aboriginal status here in America. And she is literally crashing out left and right. Left and right.
The more y'all tag me in bullshit, the angrier me and my ancestors get.
Ooh, I'm scared. Ooh, what are you gonna do? Have your ancestors curse us again? This would be like me crying about the apartheid. Literally, it would be like me crying about that.
Number one, what the hell does the apartheid got to do with us? And number two, you see how she's clowning around and making jokes of the ancestors? Don't be surprised to find out that something happens to her. See, we are the real fuck arounds and find out. And when you disrespect our ancestors, guess what happens? Not away? Anybody? So I'm going to keep an eye on this woman because her wake-up call is going to come. And I want to make sure that I'm here to show it to you when it does. Let's go to this next one.
And as a matter of fact, we no longer go by African American. We can't be two nations.
Okay, so I have a very valid question for you guys, or any of your pretendian friends can answer. I just want to know. So now that you're not African anymore and you're no longer claiming African American heritage or coming from the slave trade, you're no longer claiming any of that. You denounce it and everything like that. So you're no longer that. Why are so many of you still saying the N-word then? Because that word is for African American people.
Family, what the hell is she talking about? Didn't I say she's crashing out? Didn't I say she's crashing out? She's just trying her hardest to tie something to something else. Oh, well, if you're Native American, then why are you saying the N-word? That's for African American people. There were no African American people during slavery. African American wasn't a term until Jesse Jackson brought his ass along and made it a term. So what the hell is this woman talking about? Salute to Andrea Jones again. Thank you for being here, family, and I appreciate you for being here yesterday as well. Family, what the hell is she talking about? So now she's trying to say, well, if you're Native, you can't say the N-word. It doesn't change anything. Us having Native American blood, it doesn't change the fact that we were still enslaved. We were still called the N-word with the hard ER. We were still beaten. We were still raped. We were still done in ways that nobody across the globe was done. So what the hell makes you think that because of the fact that we're rightfully taking back our ancestry, that you think you have the power to say what we can and can't say because it's for African Americans? With that logic, you're basically saying Elon Musk could go around saying the N-word. You're basically saying that Elon Musk can go around tossing the N-word around because he's African American. What the hell is this woman talking about? Shalom to our brother Damon Reeves. Thank you for being here, family. This is what this woman is basically saying. And it's weird as hell. But I know why she's doing it, because the fake Pocahontas here, Nocahontas, she can't get anybody to be on her side on this when it comes to the Black community. She just can't. And so now she's trying to find ways to make people angry, find a way to get a reaction, and it's not working. Salute, Yodi. Thank you for being here, family. It's just not working for her.
Who took it back after slavery, since none of your ancestors, quote unquote, were a part of the slave trade or descending from Africa, according to you.
Who the hell said that? Who the hell said that their ancestors didn't or wasn't a part of the slave trade? See, now she's just tossing shit in there. That's what she's doing now. All she's doing is tossing shit in there.
You have no merit or right to that word anymore. So
says who? You? Someone who really has no merit or right to tell us anything? Oh, no. No Kahanis. No. Siberian Hanist. I might have to get Michael Jackson in here. Siberian girl, you think you can tell us, girl, but that's a hell no. Siberian girl, cross the Bering Straits and stuff, trying to claim native. Let me stop. But anyway, family, the original Tether is speaking. Let's let her continue.
I thoroughly think people should be calling you out for what you are, and it's a racist, because only racists use that word like that. And that's very much what you would try to do. Also, I don't think it should be in your vocabulary anymore if you're going to choose to denounce everything that got that word for the Black community.
So now we're racist for saying the word that we took back because we're claiming our actual native heritage as well. This is what they live with. This is their brain inside the Siberian mine. My last video that I put out, we went inside the Nabisco mine, and now we're inside the Siberian mine.
You can't have it both ways. You can't choose to be Native American and then take something and cherry pick what you want from another group of people when it doesn't fit your narrative. You cannot say the N-word anymore. That goes for all pretendians. You can't.
Ma'am, you are the pretendian. Salute Wild Williams. Thank you for being here, family. You are the pretendian. Let's get to the response video to this young lady and this dude.
The pretendian in them still lives on. Tell pretendians that they're crazy and it's time to move on.
You're crazy and it's time to move on. Hopefully when we move on, we'll be moving on to the truth this time. Now, I personally don't care for you simply because you get on this app like an alcoholic, drinking your life away and begging for money. And if that is what the Native American identity has been lowered to, then we are in for one trying to get it back up to standard. But it's okay because you're right. The $5 Indians are who we're mad at. Those $5 Indians are also known as the 5 civilized tribes. Pretty convenient, huh? Those 5 civilized tribes are the ones who refused to leave, but also decided to adapt the colonizers' ideologies. So, for instance, they adopted the religion Christianity. They also entered into the war. They also adopted the capitalism of today's economy. Now, why are we mad at the $5 Indians? Because those are the ancestors that sold us out and forced us to have to give up our land that we so rightfully owned, and then brainwashed not only us, but our families and generations to come. And then our granddaughters have to journey on what they would call the fool's journey, to then at 20, almost 30 years old, find out the actual truth and have the entire app tell her that she's a liar. Typical. Now, for those who are wondering, this is what my mother looks like right here. And this one right here, that's her mother. I know it's hard to believe that these two light-skinned women could produce a beautiful caramelized onion like me, but it happened. And this is what the true natives look like. I told y'all from when I started this journey that I was mad at the ones who sold us out. So point us to the ones who sold us out. The reason why y'all have 500 some odd tribes is because you guys no longer want to be considered the 5 civilized tribes, because then it would equate you to the $5 Indians. It's okay. You don't have to accept the entire identity. You can just accept parts and bits and pieces, like how the white people do with the black people. You're literally doing the same thing. You're literally showing us that your DNA has colonizer written all over it. And also a fun fact, he is correct. Our people did mix with the Europeans, and that's how they were able to trick us. So there were some things that he was right about, just not all of it.
Family. And literally, this is why that girl, she's been crashing out online left and right, and people are laughing at her. We're all laughing at her, to be honest. But more and more people are posting videos and clips proving and saying that you folks are really just Siberian. You are not Native American. You are a Siberian. Period, point in black. Salute the Reparations Nation. Thank you for being here, family. And thank you for being here yesterday as well. That's what you are. Own it. Be proud of it. Because we're going to make sure you remember it.
Native Americans are descended from the lost Siberian people. In 2019, scientists found tiny milk teeth in Siberia. These teeth are 31,600 years old. They are the oldest human DNA ever uncovered in Siberia. The teeth belong to 2 boys. They were part of a group called the ancient North Siberians. This group descended from early humans who migrated from Africa. They lived in Siberia during the last ice age. They hunted mammoths and big game animals. This population left no living descendants, but their DNA lived on in another group, the ancient Paleo-Siberians. This group is the direct ancestor of Native Americans. 2/3 of Native American ancestry can be traced back to them. Around 24,000 years ago, the ancient Paleo-Siberians split into 2 branches. One branch continued living in Siberia.
Now, family, I got to make sure I address this. Calling them Putin's Mexicans is wild. Calling them Putin's Mexicans is wild as hell, and I love it. But also, if you notice, did you hear where the video stated that 2/3 of all Native Americans can be traced back to Siberia? Where's that other third? Could it be that the other third is foundational Black Americans? Yes. That has to be the case. See, 2/3 of all Native Americans. So that would be the amount of the $5 natives, any, all across the United States of America. The mound builders, not you. You're absolutely right. The Reds ain't built no mounds. Not at all. The tents of Jehoshaphat. You're absolutely correct. Let's continue.
Another branch migrated to North America. The story got more confusing. After that, the Native American ancestors encountered another population. This other group had genetic ties to Europe. They interbred. All modern Native Americans trace their ancestry to these two sources. The location where natives emerged is unclear. During the Ice Age, Siberians may have taken refuge somewhere else. Perhaps they came from a refuge on the Bering Land Bridge. That land bridge once connected Siberia and Alaska. The bridge flooded as the Ice Age came to an end, yet people continued crossing between the two continents.
The Bering Straits, ladies and gentlemen, the Bering Straits, and we have evidence showing that there are people here way longer than these folks before they crossed the Bering Straits. Mia Kim, this is a good comment here, a very good comment, because if you take that word, they're trying to remove the Mongoloid title off themselves. If you put the word Mongoloid into Chat GPT or something and ask them, are Native Americans Mongoloids? Chat GPT will basically say that that's a slur. It'll blank out and say, it'll give a red warning letting you know that what you use is a slur. It'll still answer the question, but it'll say something along the lines of, well, while the term Mongoloid is an outdated term, yes, it is absolutely correct that Native Americans are Mongolian. So they're even trying to eliminate being tied to the Mongoloids and Genghis Khan.
Seeing these migrations puzzles scientists. It also fuels debates about the origins of Native Americans. Genetic data found evidence of a second Paleo-Siberian wave. They reached Alaska between 9,000 and 6,000 years ago. They mixed with native peoples already present. Some natives today have this extra ancestry.
All right, that's one, fam. Let's go here.
Okay, let's read this comment real quick. He says, I guess he meant y'all are indigenous from Africa for sure, right? Because he's been heavy in my comment section. So let's do a deep dive into ancestry. Let's do that. So stay tuned. Let me add some more stuff.
Salute the Quasi Black Star for being here. I appreciate you, as well as Astarte Jones. Thank you for being here, my sister.
So when you type in Asian man, this is what comes up, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so here I typed in Siberian man, okay? So check this out. We're going to get to some juicy stuff. Just stay here. Let's keep going. $24,000-year-old Siberian boy sheds light on origins of Native Americans, okay? The genome sequence of a 24,000-year-old young Siberian individual found in Russia shows that 14 to 38% of modern Native Americans' ancestry came from this youngster's gene pool, suggesting first Americans came directly from Siberia. Okay, so the Paleolithic skeleton was first discovered in the late 1920s near the village of Malta in south-central Siberia. And since then, it has been referred to as the Malta child because until this DNA study, the biological sex of the skeleton was unknown. So you guys are going to have to continue to read down there because it's cut off. I cannot see it. But I can see that Dr. whomever from Texas A&M University and co-author somewhere. Y'all can read it, but I'm gonna keep going.
Salute you. Thank you for being here, family. David, come on, brother. Come on, man. I'm trying to keep a straight face over here. He said, I'm too old for her eyebrows, man. Man.
Dr. Graff with colleagues suggest, oh, wrong part. Dr. Graff with colleagues used material from the boy's upper arm to sequence his mitochondrial and nuclear genomes. It shows he had close genetic ties to today's Native Americans and some Western Eurasians, specifically some, and I cannot see that part because the little sticker is right there. Y'all can read that part. South Asia and Europe. Also, he shared close genetic ties with other Ice Age Western Eurasians living in European Russia, Czech Republic, and even Germany. We think these Ice Age people were quite mobile and capable of maintaining a far-reaching gene pool that extended from central Siberia all the way west to Central Europe, Dr. Graff said.
A salute to the big black God. Thank you for your Cash App, family. I appreciate your contribution. And your message says, send them all back to the caves. I agree. Send them all back to the cave. Send them all home. That's their home. That's where they should want to be. Salute to me and Kim. Thank you for your Cash App, family. And your donation is blessed tenfold. I appreciate your contribution. I appreciate it. Okay. I wanted to make sure you didn't have a message in there too. Let's go.
Another significant result of the study is that the Malta boys people were also ancestors of Native Americans, explaining why some early Native American skeletons, such as Kennewick Man, were interrupted to have some European trait. Our study proves that Native Americans' ancestors migrated to the Americas from Siberia and not directly from Europe, as some have recently suggested, Dr. Graff said. Dr. Graff said it, not me. Okay, this is for educational purposes only. Okay, the DNA study performed on the boy is the oldest complete genome of I can't see that part, something sequenced so far. The discovery raises, now y'all gonna have to read that also because I cannot see it. Read all that down there. Okay, let's keep going. And so finally, we are here. So y'all see that up there, when this was published, so on and so forth. Now, this is not my word. This is from doctors. This has been researched. There is a laboratory that is involved. So, kind sir, prove it wrong. Prove it wrong. Because we We know, literally, you have to know this stuff. You have to know this. And the only reason y'all are so heavy in my comment section with all the hate is because you know that if we continue to wake up, what will happen to the land that you are on? What will happen to that? When people start to do their genealogy and really realize what belongs to them, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? That's all I got, y'all. Peace.
Okay, I'm going to explain this because some of y'all seem confused. See this lady in the blue? That is an American Indian. This lady in the red? That is a Native American, an immigrant from Siberia. Once again, lady in the brown, that is an American Indian. Lady over here with the feather, that is a Native American, Siberian immigrant. This is an American Indian with the head.
Can you guys hear me, family? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. That was weird as hell. All right. You can hear me? Okay, good. Good. We're going to run this back, and I'm going to repeat what I was just saying.
I'm going to explain this.
Because, there was too much truth getting told right there, I guess. They don't want that truth to get put out there. Family, I had to go in and literally, my microphone settings just out of nowhere just changed. I didn't switch it. I was sitting here talking to you guys, and all of a sudden, the microphone just went out. I'm still talking. Didn't know the microphone went out until you guys told me in the chat, no sound. But what I was saying when the microphone went out, the reason why they're horrified, the reason why they're struggling in order to try to make us all Africans and things like that is because they know that our reparation claim runs deeper than just slavery. And once it comes out that the original inhabitants of the land is not the Siberian, everything, all the reservations, all the casinos, all the laws, all the funding that they receive, all that will be stripped. Because you can't have a treaty. You cannot have a treaty with people who aren't the original inhabitants of the land. That's called a false treaty. And so all those things that they receive will have to be stripped from them and given to the original inhabitant of the land, which is the foundational Black American. Let's keep it 100. Salute to our brother AO. Thank you for being here, family. Yeah, I didn't even know the damn microphone went off. But I understand why the microphone went off. Because that information right there is horrifying, not only to people like Matt Walsh, but also to Putin's Mexicans, the Siberians. It is horrifying to know that the second we stand on business and it comes out that what we're saying is correct, everything that they've gotten from the government must now be taken back from them and given to us. So those casinos, that's going to have to be snatched from them and given to us. Those reservations, yeah, that land is going to have to be snatched and given to us. Those, laws, the treaties, all that will be snatched and given to the original inhabitants. And that's why they're so goddamn scared. That's why they're so gung-ho off of making us Africans. We know we're not Africans. And if anything, they're more African than we are. Let's get to this clip here.
It's because some of y'all seem confused. See this lady in the blue? That is an American Indian. This lady in the red? That is a Native American, an immigrant from Siberia. Once again, lady in the brown? That is an American Indian. Lady over here with the feather? That is a Native American, Siberian immigrant. This is an American Indian with the headband. This over here in the red is a Native American, an immigrant from Siberia. Once again, lady in the brown, an American Indian, the indigenous people of America. Lady in the black jacket, Native American, immigrant from Siberia. These are two different people, two different cultures. Don't confuse them.
and some, and then some. If you want to say, do you want to see what a native Siberian looks like, family? Look just like a Native American. The so-called Native American, family. Hold on, I'm going to turn off the sound on this one because there's some music in the background. Oh, so that's right. She's going to talk, so I got to keep the sound on. All right.
Did you know that latest research showed that Native Americans might actually have come from Siberia? The DNA of Native Americans were traced all the way to Siberia, which shows that Native Americans and Native Siberians might be related, and Native Americans might have actually migrated from Siberia. So you guys in America might actually be true Siberians.
So the white girl had to come out and let them know, hey, your DNA, according to science, it goes back to Siberia. So, hey, Native American, you're a Siberian. You're one of Putin's Mexicans. Congratulations. Congratulations. Salute to my brother that gave that to me, because God dang it, I'm going to be honest with you, that's going to be my new favorite term for these people. They are Putin's Mexicans. Putin's Mexicans. Let's go here, family. Like I said, they already know this, though. And even the people who don't know it, who come to find out, in their bones, they know that they're not Native American to this, or Aboriginal to this land here in America. This man finds out that he isn't. After years and years and years of believing he was. Let's continue.
But let's go to the ancestry report. And this is where it's all at. So I'm still 82.6 Native American, or when you break it down, it's East Asian and Native American. And someone told me, said, well, the East Asian is probably just contributes to your Native American ancestry. But I'm one of the individuals who always felt like, well, I don't feel 100% Native American. I don't feel 100% Ojibwe. And through time, like I can.
You hear him, family?
I don't feel 100% Native American. I don't feel 100% Ojibwe history. But I'm one of the individuals who always felt like, well, I don't feel 100% Native American. I don't feel 100% Ojibwe. And through time, like I can tell, like, even by our language, like how it has been influenced by the French, some of our words and all of that. It has a French, what do you call, dialect to it. So I knew there had to be something in there.
Family, these people on the reservation speaking patois. These people are on the reservation speaking French. I am thoroughly amused. You can't get no more Nabisco than speaking French. You can't get no more $5 native than speaking French on a reservation. I am thoroughly amused.
And also, why I asked you what I look like, when I found out, this is sidetracking, but when I found out that my dad passed away, and I found out his real ancestry, or found out who his real father was, because he lied, because of the times that he was growing up, he couldn't have this certain background growing up on a reservation, and it was just a problem. So he lied, said who his dad was, because
he was a $5 native. He was a $5 native. Every.
He didn't want to have the same thing, and I don't know. So that's how that went. So on the new updated version, what it points out is that my Native American ancestry is only 52.6%, and I feel comfortable with that. I thought that was more so of what I feel like I am, and of course it's Ojibwe from Red Lake Nation, but also the other ones is the Northern Asian, which is Mongolian. And that's what I always like felt like all right, yeah, there's got to be some connection. And if you didn't watch the first video, I told about a story. I always used to go get my feet rubbed at them little Asian massage places inside malls, and I had the same one that I always went to, but anyway, there was a newer lady there, and she was rubbing my feet, and she started speaking to me in her native tongue, and I was like, I couldn't understand. She's like, what's your background? What are you? And I told her what I was, and I had to explain a little bit more what it was because they didn't know what Native American was. So then I explained it. She's like, oh, okay. Then the person who was rubbing,
He said he explained it to her, and she was like, "Oh, okay." But in her head, she was like, "Oh, these fools are crazy. They came over here and created a whole new people. You're a Mongoloid like me. We're from the bloodline of Genghis Khan. How the hell are you Native American?" He said she didn't know what a Native American was. He had to explain to her what a Native American is. And she looked at him like he was crazy. Okay.
what's your background? What are you? And I told her what I was, and I had to explain a little bit more what it was because they didn't know what Native American was. So then I explained it. She's like, oh, okay. Then the person who was rubbing the person's feet next to me, one of her coworkers, they start talking and they laughed a little bit. And I was like, what's going on? And
they were doing to him what they do to black women in the goddamn. Because y'all know they be talking about black folk when you go up in there and they start talking in their language. They start talking mess about you. So they started talking mess about this dude. Something along the lines of, and in their language, they're like, this simple ass Asian Negro, this Mongoloid ass Negro think think he's American. And they started laughing at him. Oh, Jesus, you can't make this up whatsoever. Oh, man, this is too good. This had to be written by the Most High. This had to be written by the Most High. You cannot make this kind of content up.
And what the lady told me, who was over my feet, she said, well, both of them thought that I was from their homeland. Now they look like people from their homeland, which is in Mongolia. And reason why I fit the description is because in Mongolia they live up in the mountains, and because they live up in the mountains, they're bigger. They're bigger than the rest of the other Asians. And it's just how they're formed. So it's just like,
no. The reason why you fit the description because you have their DNA and bloodline, my good sir. That's why you fit the description. It isn't because y'all kind of similar, you kind of sort of look alike, you kind of, no. It's because you have direct blood ties stemming back to the land that they come from. That's why they were laughing at you.
You look very Mongolian. I thought you're from our homeland. That's why I was speaking to you in our native tongue. So just having that confirmation right now is just like, because it was lesser before, but now that it's more significant, like I feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get comfortable with it, because when the truth really hits, see, you only got a partial truth. When the truth actually hits, yeah, they're going back to the ice box. Everybody go back to your separate corners. Let's get this very clear. Time to go home. Okay, let's go here, family.
It's just right then. And you were telling me Russians used to come over. You're native, so your people basically.
Yeah.
Siberian Yupik.
And they would do their dances.
We used to have a festival each year. I think it stopped 95, I believe was the date it stopped. Okay, so they would come over.
Native Americans, Indigenous Russian, Native American teepee, Siberian chum.
First of all, appearance and clothes. Apparently, Siberians and Native Americans even look alike. Distinctive cheekbones, an upright posture, and dusky skin. In the 19th century, famous explorer Fridtjof Nansen called Evenks, the indigenous people of eastern Siberia, the Indians of Siberia. Both Siberians and Native Americans dressed themselves in clothes made of deer skin, which makes sense, with deer the main breeding cattle. But what is striking is how similar the ornaments and types of embroidery used to decorate their clothing was. Their houses looked alike too. Teepees and chums were go-to structures for both Siberians and Native Americans. And then the language. A connection exists between Siberian and Native American languages. In early 18th century, German naturalist Georg Steller, who traveled to Kamchatka and then to North America, argued that either the people of Kamchatka and North America communicated somehow with each other, or Native Americans are the same people as Kamchadals, or are somehow derived from them. After more than a century of speculation, geneticists have proven that Aztecs, Incas, and Iroquois are closely related to the people of Altai, the Siberian region that borders China and Mongolia.
So, family, while we're out here calling all these folks out left and right, telling them exactly where they're from. See, it'd be one thing if we were just running around saying, okay, you're not Native American, we're Native American, this, that, and the third. But then, not only are we calling them out for not being Native American, we're actually giving them a geographical location of where they actually come from, to where their bloodline, their DNA actually stems back. And that's what's pissing people off the most. They're literally, quite literally mad that not only do we know the history, but the history and the science are both saying the same damn thing. Remember when I said that the natives, we were reclassified by Walter Plecker? He was one of the first people to do so. The history said so. And then when they started testing people's DNA, the science said so. And that's what they're really hating, family. They really, really hate the fact that we're really informed about this situation. That's the one thing they can't stand, is that we're really informed. Because before they would say it's pseudoscience. Before they would say, well, these black folks are just saying anything because they don't want to be black. They don't want to be African. But then, when we come with the history and DNA, they can't say much. So now they crash out. And that's what old girl was doing. That's what the dude was doing. Cheap fire water. That's what he was doing. Let's go here. Let's get into this.
Some deep dives we've got lined up for today.
Yeah.
Walter Plecker's Virginia racial records in the early 1900s. It's quite the historical puzzle to unpack. Yeah. Someone's been digging into some fascinating, if unsettling, history.
Right. And to really get under the skin of just how much impact Plecker had, we have to start with his role.
I was just going to say, who is this guy?
So as Virginia State Registrar of Vital Statistics, he wasn't actually making laws himself.
Okay, so we're talking like birth certificates, marriage licenses, death records, all that official stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big deal with Plecker getting involved there?
You see, that's just it. This 1943 letter you've dug up is the perfect example. He's writing to local officials, clerks, legislators, anyone involved in these vital records, and he's essentially sounding the alarm.
And that threat being?
People he considered mixed race, attempting to be classified as white or Native American. He saw this as his calculated effort to undermine Virginia segregation laws and racial hierarchy. He even goes as far as to call out their arrogant demands and the illegitimate white blood they claim. His language is very telling.
Illegitimate white blood is about as unsubtle as it gets. It's like he's trying to drum up fear and suspicion more than anything else.
Exactly. And he tries to give this anxiety a scientific basis, even mentioning Mendel's law of heredity.
Oh, right. Like dominant and recessive genes we all learned about in high school biology. Did Plecker?
Now, yes, let me just say this. Walter Plecker was a eugenicist in the very same way that Bill Gates' father was a eugenicist. What's her name who created Planned Parenthood? Margaret Sanger. She's a eugenicist. So most folks in the time were eugenicists. Let's be very clear about that.
Skip that lesson.
He more like twisted it to fit his worldview.
Yeah.
You see, at the time, there were all these beliefs about race and heredity, many of them based on bad science, to put it lightly. Plucker latched onto Mendel's law to argue that individuals with mixed ancestry would practically be destined to pass as white.
So what does passing actually mean in this context?
Okay, so in the Jim Crow South, passing meant living as a member of a race that you weren't legally classified as. It was about survival, about accessing opportunities denied to you based on your ancestry. People went to some pretty extraordinary lengths to control how they were perceived, and for some, passing was a chance at a better life.
And Plecker was terrified by this.
Well, for him, any blurring of those racial lines was a threat to the entire social order he was trying to uphold. He even includes an anecdote in this letter about people using marriage certificates from one county to pass as white in another. It clearly struck a nerve.
Sounds like he was obsessed with keeping everyone in their own rigidly defined boxes, and it sounds like this letter was just the tip of the iceberg.
You're right to be intrigued because Plucker didn't stop at strongly worded letters. He took his mission a step further, and this is where that list of surnames you sent comes in. He's practically daring people to use it to police their neighbors.
Let's dive into this list. He organizes it by county, which makes it all the more unsettling.
It's like he's providing a roadmap for suspicion and distrust. He names specific families. For instance, in Albemarle County, he lists Moon Powell Kid Pumphrey, and he even notes how some families try to change their names. Over in Amherst County, he calls out the Beverleys, who he claims were trying to become Birch or Birch to connect themselves to some white ancestor.
Wow, the level of detail is chilling. It wasn't just about bureaucratic records for Plecker, was it? This was personal.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating and troubling is how this list reflects the power he wielded. These weren't just names on a page. These were real people and families whose lives could be upended by his suspicions. Honestly, it's the sheer arbitrariness of it all that gets me.
How so?
Well, we know that racial categories are social constructs, not biological realities, but Plecker seemed to think he could just definitively declare who belonged where, just based on incomplete records and his own messed up interpretations of ancestry.
It's like he built.
So basically, he was saying, "Okay, you're white, you're not. You're no longer Native American. You're a Negro. Yeah, you too dark to be white, so we're gonna make you a Native American." That's what basically they're saying. Salute the Mad Hatter. Thank you for being here, family.
Built this whole system on shaky ground, and people's lives were in the balance.
And what's worse is that his system didn't crumble with him. His work, especially that meticulous documentation, was actually instrumental in solidifying Virginia's Racial Integrity Act of 1924. It's a chilling example of how individual biases can be cemented in law.
Refresh my memory. What did that act do again?
Basically, it made Plecker's worldview law. The Racial Integrity Act made it mandatory to classify everyone's race of birth with a strict line between white and colored. And get this, it wasn't fully overturned until 1975.
1975. We're talking about generations of Virginians who were affected by this one man's obsession.
It really makes you think twice about the idea of objective record keeping, doesn't it? These
1975, family. This man's view of the world was law up until 1975.
seemingly neutral documents, birth certificates, marriage licenses, they became tools to enforce a deeply flawed and unjust system.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's easy to think about history as something in the past, but this is a stark reminder that it still affects us today.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the ethics of it all, especially with things like genetic ancestry testing becoming so popular.
Oh, wow, that opens.
No, I'm going to have to disagree with that. Practicing eugenics is a little bit different than picking the partner you want to be with. Now, you can like somebody with pretty eyes and all the other stuff. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a child with the same traits. And so practicing eugenics is a lot different than just picking the mate that you want because they have red hair or because they have green eyes. That's not what eugenics actually is. So we have to be very clear about what it actually is and not what we assume it to be.
It's up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
We've only scratched the surface of Plecker's work and how it still affects us today.
Exactly. That's a conversation for another time.
It's almost eerie how this deep dive into Walter Plecker's world brought us right to a modern-day ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
Genetic ancestry testing. It's like the ghosts of these historical attempts at categorizing people are still with us.
It's not just haunting. It's relevant. I mean, think about it. We're talking about digging into our past, trying to pinpoint our ancestry, and maybe even attributing meaning to those results. It's eerily similar to what Plecker was doing, just with a 21st century twist.
Yeah, and thankfully with far fewer prejudices baked in.
Yeah.
But I see your point. Just because we have these fancy tools and think we're more enlightened doesn't mean that we're immune to the problems of defining ourselves by our ancestry.
Exactly. Think about all the stories.
Family, I would have to defer back to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. They've been showing their fear of genetic annihilation since the inception of this country. That's something that we have to be honest about too. These folks, they've been showing their fear of genetic annihilation since the inception of this country. That's why the one drop rule was so prevalent. That's why the one drop rule was so prevalent. Because they were afraid of a Negro getting by as a white person and then doing something for their people.
Stories you hear about people using these tests to claim they're part of a certain group for clout or even money. It's like a modern version of passing something. Plecker himself was obsessed with controlling.
The irony is not lost on me. It's like some things never change.
Yep.
So let's say someone's thinking about taking one of these tests. What advice would you give them, given what we've learned?
Go in with your eyes open. Understand that these tests aren't perfect. They're just a snapshot of your DNA, not some crystal ball that reveals your entire family history.
I'm going to be honest with you. That's one of the reasons why I will never and have never, taken a genealogy test. I'm one of those type of people who grew up and I had family members who were really practicing hoodoo and didn't know it. So we didn't split poles. If you swept somebody's feet, they spitting on the broom. If you, let's say if one of my locks fell out, till this day, I still burn my locks. Whenever my locks fall out, or if I have like hair that falls out, whatever, extra hair, I burn it. That's what I do. So when I was coming up, I was taught how important our DNA is. You get what I'm saying? So me sending my DNA to a entity that can then at any point in time sell your DNA, that was a big problem for me. That was a huge problem for me and still is to this day. I won't take a DNA test unless I have contracts saying that it's not going to go anywhere or be sold to anybody. And then even then, I probably wouldn't take it because I'm so wary about what people will do with your DNA. Y'all seen the OJ case? Soon as they got blood, they went and planted blood. So yeah, I don't play around with that at all. I don't play around with the DNA. And like you said, it tells people in clear-cut language for entertainment purposes only. And people are sending their DNA over to these places for entertainment purposes. And then when they go out of business, they sell all your information. So yeah, family, be very careful of those type of things. That was a good point.
And don't expect them to tell you who you are or where you belong. Your identity is about so much more than just your genes.
Yeah, it's about the choices you make, the values you hold dear, the communities you're part of.
Exactly. You write your own story by how you live your life, not just by your DNA.
I think that's a great note to end on. We've gone from the meticulous and frankly disturbing work of Walter Plecker all the way to the complexities of genetic testing today.
Yeah, see, I'm seeing the chat, and I see that I'm not the only person that grew up like that. Understandable. But when I was coming up, I didn't know. I just thought it was superstition. Nobody ever told me that my family hasn't been practicing hoodoo all that damn time. My dad never told me. My dad was the one who taught me most of these things. He's the one. My dad flipped the hell out one day. I was sweeping the floor and I swept his foot, and he must have snatched that broom and started spitting on it, something vicious, talking about what's wrong with you, boy? You don't sweep nobody's feet. I'm like, Dad, chill out. What the hell is wrong with you, man? You trying to send me to jail? You need to don't ever sweep a person's feet. You know, I'm like, okay, my bad. I didn't know. But that's what my dad, like I said, my family is from Sweetport, Louisiana. So a lot of that came with them when they came to California, when they moved to California. Salute to Shorty McGriff. Thank you for being here, family. So yeah, a lot of us have that in our families and just didn't know that it was a form of hoodoo, and those who did know most likely didn't say anything. It's up to your family to tell you what's going on. Let's continue.
What have we learned? History isn't just something we read about in textbooks. It's something that we're still grappling with today, especially as our understanding of race, identity, and belonging continues to evolve.
And who knows, maybe by understanding the mistakes of the past, we can create a future where those categories matter less and the richness of our individual experiences can shine through.
Absolutely. To everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you're not alone in navigating these questions, and who knows, maybe your own deep dive is just beginning.
And be very wary of that too. You're much more than where you're from. Yeah, maybe you are. However, you're a lot less if you're claiming to be from somewhere that you're not. Let's be very clear about that. All the things that make you who you are does not nullify the fact that you're not from where you say you're from. Your DNA shows you that you're not from where you claim to be from. My grandma told me her mom would tell her, if a lot of people is going in and out of your house, keep some salt at the door. Righteous, to ward off bad energy. Righteous. My Nana, she would have bay leaves in certain places around the house, right? And she would say things like, oh, you know, money is rushing into my door. Money's rushing into the house. And my granny always kept goddamn money. That was one thing about my Nana. She always had some bread, but she always would do these things that at the time I didn't understand them. But now growing up, like burning the onion skins, that's a form of bringing in wealth and funds into your house. And so now the things that my grandma was doing when I was younger, that I was just watching, thinking that she was doing some weird stuff. Now, growing up, I'm like, oh, she was practicing hoodoo. Cloves in the water jar. Exactly. There's a lot of things that our family has been doing since a child that we've seen personally, that a lot of these so-called Native Americans, they don't know nothing about. Cinnamon and cloves. Exactly. You put cinnamon anywhere, it's drawing in money. My nana used to make these little cinnamon pouches, right? And it had cinnamon, bay leaf, the cloves in it, and she would wrap it in plastic, and then she would put it in my grandpa's wallet. And that was supposed to draw money into, and I'm, again, growing up, whether I know it or not, whether my pawpaw and my grandma, they were rich or not, I don't want to say that they were rich. They were rich because anything they wanted, they had. You dig what I'm saying? And they were able to pull funds together out of nowhere, to be honest with you. So I took it as we must be rich. But the fact was, they were just doing the things to draw the ancestors closer to them in their pockets. And then when I got old enough to realize that money is an energy, I started saying the same type of things that my nana used to say, you know, money comes easily and frequently. Money comes easily and frequently. And it started popping up easily and frequently. So I just want to give a salute and a shout out to the ancestors and our family that kept this going, whether we knew what it was or not. Let's go here, family, because even some of these native chiefs has come out speaking about Walter Plecker and his role in the reclassification.
As you're aware, in 1912, Dr. Walter Plecker became the first director.
Yes, she was. Your nana was teaching you root work. Be very proud of that. Because that's what, like I said, it literally dawned on me when I got older what was going on. And the root work never popped in my mind. I never thought that was happening until I got old enough to see, oh, I started watching different movies and they started showing it in different movies. I started talking to different FBAs and they were like, oh man, my family used to do that crazy stuff too. And then I started asking the question, if we're all our families were doing this, is it so crazy? It can't be that crazy if our family was all doing it. And if our families were all doing these things, how did we all have the same information of knowledge to know what to do? Because we were connected in that way. So yeah, absolutely. Nana was teaching us root work the same way Nana wanted us working in a garden with her. She was trying to teach us gardening. It wasn't just to teach us how to grow, but also how to live, how to use what you're growing in your garden in order to use it as medicine and to help you live and grow. My grandfather right now, he's turning 88. I think he's turning 88 or 89. He has the cleanest bill of health in our family. He goes walking every day. He's healthier than me. But that's because of the information that's been passed down. And as long as we use that information, oh yeah, you can guarantee we're going to get the same benefits. So shout out to Nana. Shout out to Paw. Shout out to Pops. Shout out to everybody, Mama, everybody who was teaching us these things without even telling us what they was teaching us.
To the Bureau of Vital Statistics. Prior to that, there were no birth certificates, and he was a director up until the 1940s,
Ain't that how it happened, Black Spider?
46, until his death.
Like
but he was part of.
We don't know,
as you're aware,
exactly what's going on until we pass down something, and then you're seeing your children doing what you passed down unknowingly. It's just a natural thing that we do. It's a very natural thing that we do. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing that my grandma used to do too. She used to like speak to the water. She used to write on like all her glasses has smirk marks on it because she used to take a goddamn Sharpie, and when she goes to drink water, she'll write something on the water. And she'll never show us what she's written on that glass because she holds it to herself, right? She'll write on the glass and then she'll turn what she written towards her heart and then she'll drink the water. But we spoke about this, even when water has power. Water has a lot of power in it. So that's another thing that I really grew to appreciate is the different things that water, when it comes to root work, the different things that water is used for. But also, when you look, like even science shows you, there's science experiments and stuff right now, studies that show that when you speak positive to water and freeze it, it'll crystallize into like snowflakes, right? When you have positive energy around water, like you said, exactly, water holds memory, right? So if you're freezing water with positive, while speaking positive to it or playing positive music, you can create snowflakes and things like that. You can, even when you take like, how do you say? When you take plants, right? And exactly, Miss Nisi, Lake Lanier, all that negative that's been around, circled within that water, it's no wonder why people is getting snatched up under there. 50 feet. You got trees under that damn water that's up to 100 feet and people getting pulled down half the amount of the trees. That is it. But yes, I truly appreciate everything that I learned about water in every aspect, because it is one of the grand healers, whether people know it or not. Salute Chad Wellington. Thank you for being here, family. Let's see what you got to say. I'm white, and one thing that I've noticed is black people are generally more relaxed. White people have an uptight, stress vibe most of the time. Hey, you heard it from the horse's mouth yourself. You said it, I didn't, okay? 50 feet is crazy. Yeah, you know, it would be crazy if the dude didn't test our ancestors' gangsters. See, that's the reason why I feel that he was found damn near 50 feet under the damn water, because he had to test our ancestors' gangster. We've been telling folks all this time to leave Lake Lanier alone. We've been telling them all the time to leave that place alone. Don't mess with our ancestors. Leave our folks alone. However, they keep on having to test the waters. They want to stick their pinky toe in and test that water. And trust me when I say, our ancestors down there who dwells within the water, oh, they don't like to be tested. They don't like to be tested at all. That's why they got wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the waters. It wasn't just a song to help us find the route of the Underground Railroad. No. Even in the God's gonna trouble the water, it's basically telling you that your ancestors got your back. Wait in that water. Let the ancestors protect you. And all others will have to deal with the spirit of that water. So yes, I'm gonna be 100. I am so glad that I have a healthy respect and a healthy fear of the water. You will not catch me out in no damn ocean, no damn where. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it at all. Why? Because anything can happen to a boat. I might go swimming. I could swim my ass off. Let me be very clear. I could swim like a dolphin. I could get the backstrokes in, you know what I'm saying? I could swim no hands. I swim underwater and pop up like a dolphin, all that. But when we talking about places like the ocean, places like Lake Lanier, where you could just drift off, I would go in the water at Lake Lanier because I truly believe we would be protected. I wouldn't go like swimming to the all the way out or nothing, but I'll get in the water and have a little fun. However, when we're talking about like wide open oceans, oh no. I won't go on no yacht to go out there and party. Y'all have fun. I remember the last time I was on a cruise, I took my mom on, we went on a Mother's Day cruise, and that cruise ship didn't even leave the port. It left the port, but it was only like maybe about less than 50 feet away from the dock. So if anything happened, oh, I'm grabbing moms and we swimming our asses out of there. So that was my thinking on that. The family ain't no. I am not, and I refuse to go out into the ocean that damn far out. We ain't doing that. We are not doing that. No cruises. I feel you, Miss Niecy. I swear for God, you ain't about to get me out there. No. Yep, absolutely. Well, family, let's go here because I'm running out of time here. Want to make sure I get dressed for this graduation, but let's get through this.
In 1912, Dr. Walter Plecker became the first director of the Bureau of Vital Statistics. Prior to that, there were no birth certificates, and he was a director up until the 1940s, 1946, until his death. But he was part of the eugenics movement, which was a movement about creating one race of people, which was white, and everything else was put in a pot, as Tina Marie would say, and stir it up and call colored. But he went beyond board on that, wherein as far as first Americans are concerned, he changed birth certificates and marriage license. He even put out letters to census takers in 1930 that people such as myself that are first Americans and Native Americans, that he considered us as being bastards, that we were just trying to be Indian to marry into the white race. What's so interesting about that was that in the 30s, he gave a presentation in New York City and on eugenics. And there were commanders associated with Adolf Hitler that attended that particular meeting.
But basically, when he was the registrar for the Bureau of Vital Records, he changed the names of Indian people in Southampton County, their race from Indian to Negro or colored.
Well, it was referred to as colored, and basically all the tribes in Virginia in the early 1900s were referred to as colored. Okay, then after the 1924 Racial Integrity Act, everything that was in that colored bowl became Negro.
So even their own chiefs know exactly what happened with Walter Plecker. So for all these folks to be running around here with this nonsense, it's no wonder that they're getting called out left and right.
Are you guys fucking crazy? Nobody's stealing your identity. Nobody's trying to be African American.
How you doing, Joy? So in case you wasn't paying attention, right? I don't know how old you are, right? But the dolls rose. The dolls rose, where clearly you see where it's highlighted. There were numerous reports of individuals paying government agents bribes to be fraudulently added to the dolls rolls, right? Now, I'm not saying you particularly or anyone specific, but what I am saying is at your age, it's a lot of you who don't know whether or not your great-grandfathers paid for your family to be recognized as a tribal Indian. Some of you are not, but you know it's real funny. Thanks to Walter Plecker. Look it up, the name. Walter Plecker is the reason we are called African American or Negro. Thanks to Walter Plecker, we were here. I even went back and traced my records. And my records go way back to before the Trail of Tears. And in fact, to be specific, my family migrated to this direction during the time of the Trail of Tears. Put two and two together, brother. You seem a little bit angry. I need you to calm down and really think about it. Something that happened before you that you might be a part of. Didn't you see the report later? What was it, earlier this week about the border patrol customs officer who come find out that he was an illegal himself, and the whole time he was one of the people that was kicking illegals out of the country, but he didn't know because his father didn't tell him.
That is some real diabolical stuff. This man wasn't illegal, had a job with Border Patrol, and he was helping them deport other illegals. And he didn't know that himself wasn't illegal until his name popped up in the registry. That is hilarious. I'm telling you, you can't write this. This is too good to write. The Most High wrote this by hand. He didn't use a typewriter. He wrote this by hand because he wanted to make sure that the comedy was comical. It was comedying. The math was mathing. It was hilarious. That right there is just grand. It is grand. The irony. Yes. Miss Niecy, the irony. Oh God, yes. Plot twist on steroids. Plot twist on steroids, family. You can't make this up. You can't. This is too juicy to make up. I promise you.
Your fathers didn't tell y'all that y'all not really Native American or Indians. That's what the point is. Calm down, brother. Calm down.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Salute to that brother, man. That right there is golden. I am smiling my ass off at that one. Salute to the ears that hears the truth. I appreciate your Cash App. Your contribution is blessed tenfold. And I appreciate you being here, family. Family, with that, with all that information that's out there, with all the information that's out there, they're losing their goddamn minds because they can't pin us down. We keep on hitting them with fact after fact after fact after fact, and all they're doing is showing themselves to be the same person, the same Nabisco with the same white fragility. Let's go here, family. Let's go here.
Wouldn't have to prove the amount of blood she has, but rather her connection to the land.
America with 3 Ks. What the fuck she mean she don't need to have no blood?
Hold on.
Have to prove the amount of blood she has, but rather her connection to the land.
America with 3 Ks. What the fuck she mean she don't need to have no blood quantum or just be attached to the land? We are. So what's up? Where our shit at?
Wouldn't have to prove the amount.
Family, great question. How do you not have any blood quantums to the land? How do you not have any blood quantums to the land, but still get called Native American to that land? Somebody please explain. The math is not mathing. The math is not mathing. Someone please call 911. Tell them that they've been shot down with a bullet in their heart. And it's piercing through their soul. They must be used to being in the cold. Let's go here, family, because there's this brother who's going around on TikTok showing people how to prove that these folks, their ancestry is not ours, and it does not stem from the Americas at all. Let's go here.
Watch this. Watch this. Okay. Look at this dude. This dude's name is Felix Bus Exring. Where was he born at? Germany. This dude was born in Germany in 1862. What was his home in 1920? Navajo Indian Reservation. What is his race? Indian, Native American. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There go another bomb. It says he was born in Germany. Then in 1920, they had him on the Navajo Indian Reservation. Then they got his race as Indian Native American. How was you born in Germany?
Your Chad's cousin, Jim? I'm pretty sure you and Chad are probably the one and the same. I'm pretty sure you and Chad is probably one and the same.
Germany, but then you Native American. Watch this, y'all. When you scroll down to the bottom, what does it say right here?
See, family? Yeah, okay. Cult-like personality. I feel what you're saying, family. I saw that up there too. where you said that Lake Lanier is not for games. There we go. It's not for fun. Ask Usher. I was going to actually look that up, but Miss Nisi just hit us off with it. His stepson drowned in Lake Lanier. See, that's why I said I would probably get in the water, but I wouldn't go swimming. I wouldn't go out to the deep end. I need to see literally my legs. That's where you're going to see me in the water up to the waist. That's it. Anything over the waist? No, we're not doing that at all. At all.
Naturalized. Uh-oh. That's another bomb. How are you indigenous or you Indian and Native American when you got to be naturalized to the land?
Family. How does that ever make sense? You're born in Germany, but your race is listed as Native American. And then when you get deeper into the paperwork, it says that you're naturalized. So how are you, as a naturalized citizen, now Native American?
If you are natural to the land, why they got to naturalize you? Because you're not originally from the land. You are a foreigner. And that is factual. I don't care what you say. This dude was born in Germany. This man is a European, period. And they got this man down as a Navajo Indian. That is facts. Look up his name, Felix Bus X-Ring. Look his name up on Ancestry when y'all get a chance. Don't take my word for it.
All right. Let's go here.
All you have to do is go to Ancestry.com, okay? And on Ancestry.com, they have a section where you can hit search. When a search button comes up, as a matter of fact, hold on, let me show y'all this. Let me do this. Show y'all how to do it so y'all know how to do it. When you go on Ancestry right here, you come to this spot right here where it says, place your ancestor lived, all right? You come right here where it says, place your ancestor might live. And you come in and you type in Indian Territory. And if you think I'm lying, all you got to do is do the same thing. Put in Indian Territory and scroll down to the race, nationality right here, and put in Russian and hit search. That's what you do. And you will find exactly what I'm about to show you, okay?
Salute to Jesse Paris. So this dude is actually teaching people how to look up people's genealogy and their background using Ancestry.com. And the fact that, and I actually was going to do that, but you have to be a paid subscriber to do so, or get their 14-day trial. Maybe I'll do the trial later and just to show you bit by bit. However, if you have the trial, if you have the trial, but if you also a member of Ancestry.com, then you can go in and check this stuff out for yourself.
That's all I wanted to make y'all see. All right. Indian Territory. Let's scroll down.
Salute Rashad. Thank you for telling me that his name is the research guy on YouTube. Thank you very much. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What does it say to race? Russian. What did we just read in the book? Siberia. Didn't we just read that? And then they got on the blue part, they got Cherokee, which means somebody literally went in and put in Cherokee for this individual. And also, when you look up this individual, you will see that this same individual is on Cherokee records, stating that they are Cherokee. But wait a minute. Why are they saying they Russian? Because the black part where it says Russian, this is something that Ancestry them put in themselves. The government record, the actual governmental document for this individual says Russian.
If that's the case, the middle finger to him too. we'll use the information because you take the meat and spit out the bones, pause. But yeah, if you don't think we deserve reparations, the middle finger to him too. It don't matter what anybody think, that's what we're going to get. Period, point in black. Don't nobody care about what anybody else think when everybody else is getting resources and things like that. So we don't care what the hell he thinks or anybody else thinks when it's time for us to get ours. Salute to our brother, Black Truth United. Thank you for being here, family. And then also, I thought I saw, yeah, salute to Nadine Henderson. Thank you for being here, family. But yeah, we don't give a damn what anybody thinks when it comes to our reparations claim. It is a debt owed and it will be a debt paid.
The government got it documented as Russian. The blue part is what somebody manually went in and put it in there. So after a while, they race changed from Russian to Native American. So now we know who these people really are. They shouldn't have even did that, because when they put that Cherokee in, they basically exposed themselves when you did that.
All right, family. So one of the family in the chat earlier asked the question, what does ChatGPT have to say about it? What does AI have to say about it? And I did think of that too. I've had many conversations with AI about the American Indian and the American Negro. And if you remember, I believe there's a video of me having a conversation with ChatGPT about the exact same thing. However, this sister here, she's been getting with ChatGPT like a mug. Let's go here.
Interesting. So are Native Americans and Europeans actually the same people?
Now the question, are Native Americans and Europeans actually the same people? Let's hear the response. Let me make sure this is all the way up. Okay, all the way turned up. Let's go.
Genetically, yes, they come from the same rootstock. Both groups descend from that eastern branch of the Proto-Indo-Europeans who left the Caucasus region. As they moved into Siberia and mixed with ancient East Asian groups, they crossed the Bering Land Bridge into North America around 15 to 20,000 years ago. The Y-DNA haplogroups like Q and R show that connection. You'll find them in both Native Americans and Europeans. And phenotypically, the lighter skin, straight hair, and facial structure came from the same Neanderthal-Denisovan hybridization. So when people say Native Americans and white Europeans are separate, what they're really doing is ignoring the deeper story. Modern Native Americans are just the Siberian admixed cousins of Europeans, arriving here earlier, but from the same source. They're not the original people of the Americas. They're replacements. They're not the original people of the Americas. They're replacements.
They're not the original people of the Americas. They're replacements. They're replacements. They're replacements. And if even AI knows this, you don't think the imposters do? Here's something that I love to show people. I didn't never get a chance to show you guys yet, but here's the opportunity. This is from a website called slavevoyages.org. Now, family, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this all together now. And we're going to end with this, family. Let's go here. Okay, so this right here, I'm going to show you how to get here, but I'm going to explain what this is. This is the documented evidence of where the slaves were taken, how many slaves were taken, where they were dropped off. Okay? First, we're going to go back here because I want to make, oh, it's not on the screen. All right. So first, we're going back here. I'm going to show you how to get to these numbers. All right. so that you can do your own research on this. So we're at slavevoyages.org. Okay. We're going to go to transatlantic. We're going to go to database. Okay. We're going to go to year range. You can leave that 1514 to 1866. All right. Hit apply. Then we're going to go itinerary. With the itinerary, we're going to go down to places where vessels' voyages ended. You're going to click there. You're going to hit here. You're going to put America. Mainland North America. Okay. You're going to click apply. And now we're going to go to the table. So, with this, we are now given the information on how many people was brought to the Americas from 1514 to 1866. And what is this total number over here, family? 10 million. 10 million. From 1501 to 1875. Now, when we look at mainland North America, okay, it starts 1826. 585 people was the cargo. And that's from 1826 to 1850. Okay? When you look at the amount of total that was brought to the mainland North America, it says 364,798 from 1501 to 1775. So, are you telling me that a third of a million people, created 47 plus million people? Somebody's lying. When you look at the bulk of where these slaves were being taken, they were being taken to the Caribbean. 5,126,063 people was taken as cargo to, say it with me now, to the Caribbean. So now, does it make sense that the Caribbean is treated like a brother when they go to Africa, is treated like a sister when they go to Africa, versus how we're treated when we go to Africa? Does it make sense now? More than 5 million people were taken into Africa. Taken into the Caribbean. 3,548,341 people was taken as cargo into Brazil, South America. So, family, when we say the majority of us have no African DNA, no African tie, no blood directly to Africa, outside of all people who have African DNA, we're absolutely correct. And the evidence is clear. See, they never thought that we would find this information. They never thought that we would put our intellectual paralysis into making sure they knew who we are and we knew who we are. So these Siberians, the Putin's Mexicans, they can't explain that. All we got to do is show the numbers. You got to explain to me how 364,798 people, salute Jesse Paris, thank you for being here, family. You got to explain to me how 1/3 people created more than 47 million of us. And you can't say it was the breeding farms because a lot of the breeding farms took place in the Caribbean. Yes, we had breeding farms here as well. But those breeding farms, if you look at the logistics of it, if the breeding farm is in America and they took the American native hostage and made them a slave, took the Aboriginal as a slave, then who was the Aboriginal forced to breed with? Other Aboriginals. Let's be very clear. And the very small amount, the 364,798 people who came here in chains, were blended and intermingled within foundational Black Americans. And that's what the ethnogenesis is actually referring to. Yes, some people was brought over here from Africa, but the information that we have from 1501 to 1775 clearly states it was only 1/3 So that means that all the other people that was enslaved in this country were foundational Black Americans, were Aboriginal Native Americans. In the words of our good brother, Black Alpha, G-check, G-check, G-check. Period, point in black. I didn't come here to tell you what we got to pay. I'm here to tell you what you owe. Damn receipts, we coming with invoices. And that's why these people are so horrified. We are a new people. We're not the same people that they thought we were during the civil rights. We are, I say this all the time because it's actual and it's factual. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams because we're bringing all of our stuff to the forefront. Every bit of it. In family, now you have the information as well. And I'm going to show you again how to get to this information, just in case some new people have come into the chat with it. You go to transatlantic, go to database, okay? Year and range, 1514 to 1866, hit apply. Then you go to itinerary, go to place where vessels voyage ended. Come here, you put mainland, North America. Hit apply. Then hit tables. And sometimes you gotta refresh once you're on that page. And it gives you the full documented information that they never wanted us to have. that they never wanted us to have. Family, the power is in your hands. And with that being said, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you hit that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, hit the link in the description. Go to change.org. Put your signature on the petition for reparations because they know it's deeper than slavery. And they know they're going to have to pay what they owe. Salute and what's up to my Watts brother, Gary Williams. Much love to you, my family. Family, the power, like I said, is in our hands. And the more we stand on business and bring these invoices, the less power any of them have, the less their talking points will be heard. Because you can talk all day long. But let's be very, very, very clear. Men lie, women lie, numbers only lie when it comes from them. But when they've been going around spreading the lie that millions upon millions of Africans was brought into America, and then they post this information, oh, you can guarantee that this information is the actual facts. They're no longer going to get around that that universal law that states that they can tell us what we're doing, and if we don't do nothing upon it or we agree upon it, there's no karmatic effect. Because that's what they've been doing for a long time. They would tell people what they're going to do, and then they would do it, and literally no karma would hit them because of the fact they're telling people what they're going to do. So it's an agreed upon situation if people don't call it out. We're here to call out everything. Every damn thing. And bring the receipts and invoices as we do it. But with that being said, family, the doors of the church are now closed. Enjoy the rest of your day. And make sure you bookmark this site. That being said, family, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever, can't stand us black people. He's doing everything in the world to make black man be extinct. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Us black people going to survive. Yeah. So fuck everybody. I'm out.